Dennis told me that he called you his next ex-wife.
His future ex-wife.
I think the future ex-wife. I think he had 5 ex. How many did he?
He had a lot of wives. I would joke with him, and he would laugh too. I said, "Have you ever heard of living together?"
And I told him, no, there's no way in hell that you're going to get her.
Aw. Welcome to the Knife Wife podcast. I'm Suz, married to Bob Terzuola. This podcast is about couples who live, love, and work together. It has little to do with knives. Hey everybody, welcome to the Knife Wife podcast. I'm Suz Terzuola, and I'm here with my partner.
That's me, Bob. Hi everybody, welcome back.
Hi everybody. Hi Bob. Today we're going to answer some questions. We've been having a lot of backup questions in different areas that we get them, whether it be the Knife Wife fan page or Instagram or mail. I mean, we're getting lots of questions, so we thought we would answer some questions and catch up in this episode. We are about 6 episodes behind, maybe 4 now, and I purposely chose to work at this format because I worked in episodic television, and it's always nice to have a few in the bank in case you want to travel or you get sick or whatever. And so we've been able to, have a little insurance. And, when you're a sexagenarian and you're a septuagenarian, you never know what's going to happen.
Almost an octogenarian.
Oh, gosh, yes. So to catch up, yes, folks, we are going to Italy. By the time this airs, we'll probably be in Italy, and we're going to do a couple live broadcasts from Italy. And hopefully we can weave those into a podcast. Our engineer, Matteo, can help us out. Anyway, we're going to Milan, which is the design capital and Mecca of the world, and we're going to be there for Fashion Week for part of it, so Bob likes that. What do you like about that, Bob?
I like the models. They'll be in the hotels and strutting all over the streets.
Yes, and you'll see Bob standing outside our hotel door, just his head going from side to side.
Yes, I'm practicing turning my head on my neck so it doesn't get a stiff neck,
Yes, and then I got to have last time some fun shows of people doing selfies and videos, and wow, you could really up your game in that. These girls are professionals. They're sucking it in and pulling it out. It was great to watch. Anyway, so we hope to give you a little break today from real life, and we're so thankful for all our listeners. I can't say that enough, but we should probably be in Milan by the time this airs, and so we'll start in Milan, and then we have a lot of friends in Milan, right, Bob?
We do.
And so Steve, Fausto, Liebe, the Ruffiani, they're all there. Anyway, we're renting a van, and our son Alex and his love, Jen, are meeting us in Milan, and then we're all driving to
Maniago?
You say that as a question.
I don't know. We're going to Maniago, where they make the knives in Italy. It's the knife-making center in Italy. Just like Solingen is in Germany and Thiers in France, Maniago is the place where there are many knife factories, and they've had a long, long history of making knives, swords, and
edged things,
scissors, cutting instruments, farm implements actually also.
And when we were at Blade, we just happened to find out from Gabrielle at Fox Knives that we're going to be there on Bob's birthday, which is September 14th.
They decided to have a knife festival just to celebrate my birthday. Isn't that nice?
It's so nice of them, so thoughtful. Anyway, but there really is a knife festival on the 14th, and so Bob will be there, and I'll be there, and we're all going to take sort of a Christmas vacation, family vacation, van ride from Milan, and I look forward to that. That should be a lot of fun.
Yep.
A lot of snacks, I have a feeling, because we're never far from food in Italy. And so then we'll be there. We'll be at Fox's booth on 5 o'clock on Saturday, the 14th, and then we're having a big birthday dinner. And I have lots of surprises planned for Bob. He was really thinking that I wasn't going to do anything, any surprises or any big parties or whatever, because we wouldn't be at home. But that's never stopped me, right? I've done
No.
it in Chicago. I've done it many places. And so I'm not going to tell you, Bob, but not everybody turns 80. So, and when I met you, you told me, I'm never going to live that long, right?
I never thought I'd make it past 50, actually.
There we go. Well, not on my watch.
Yeah.
That's what we say around here. Anyway, so we'll be there. And then after all the festivities, friends are coming from other countries as well to meet us for Bob's birthday. We'll all meet in Maniago. We're all staying in the same hotel. So that should be tons of fun. And then just Bob and I, they're going to drop us off in the van in Venice. And we're going to spend a few days afterward kind of decompressing. And for me, the Biennale is there, which is an every other year art show that's a world fair of art. And it's very contemporary art. Bob's going to skip that. Bob is going back to people watching or girl watching, and he'll be sitting in cafes, right, Bob?
Yep.
And just having a cappuccino and watching the girls go by. That's a full-time job for him when we're in Italy. I don't need to be near. And I'll be running around the Biennale. And then I think I just booked cicchetti. How do you say that? Those little appetizers on the bread. Cicchetti? And it's what they have in Venice. It's their specialty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
I forget what the name of those are.
Yeah, I think I booked a little private tour with our favorite tour guide to have Bob loves the wooden boats, the 1960s Chris Craft wooden boats that they have. And he actually, when we were there last time, he kept saying every time we got in one, where do I apply for a job? How do I get hired? Where's my application? And I said to him, Bob, would you give up making knives for this? He said, in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
Drive up that up and down all the canals in your cool boat. But it takes a lot to keep those boats looking like they do because they're all wood.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, so we're going to have a little tour from different places, famous places or the best places to get the cicchetti. Oh, somebody tell me how to say that. Anyway, so then that's what's happening, and it's true. And then we'll be over and we'll be in California later in October for the Friday Night Blade Affair.
And that's October 25th. We
Right.
will be there.
And we're going to have Tamar and Asako on again before the show. We're going to have them on again. I have them booked.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll hear all about that. And Tamar was a great guest. So anyway, so today we have questions.
Questions.
Start me off, Bobby.
I'm going to ask you a question. This comes from Melanie448. Hi, Melanie. Thanks for sending it in. And she says, Suz, how come you never talk about the movies or your art? Tell us some stories about the movies. Susie's got a couple of great stories.
I do. I have hundreds of stories, but I worked in the wardrobe department, and I worked in many shows that had guns. Not the recent one with Alec Baldwin, but lots of guns. And I had a little, what would you say, more experience than most people with a handgun. And one of the directors on, I think it was In Plain Sight, wanted the gun to go in the back of the gangsters' sort of Vato shorts that are the big denim shorts that hang down and their plaid underwear shows on top, although I put one in polka dots because I do love polka dots. And they wanted him to put the gun there. And I said, well, excuse me, sir, but I think the gun will fall right out. And he said, well, what if he puts it in front? I said, well, then it will fall right out and land on his toe. So I don't know if that would be such a good idea. I said, well, how about this? Let's get the actor in here and let's get a prop gun, which is just a big blue plastic. It's very heavy. And let's see if it works. If it works, okay. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So director meets me in the wardrobe trailer. We get the gun from props, or the plastic gun, not plastic, it's rubber. And the actor tries on the shorts, puts it in the front, falls right on his toe. Literally, it didn't break his toe, but he had a blue toenail, and he would show it to us every day to show us. So the director said, okay, you got a point. All right, we won't do that. And so that's one story that I'm sorry. I think his name was Cesar. I'm sorry, Cesar. I hope your toe healed. Anyway, and then let's see, what else? Oh, and when I was working on that show, there was a lot of shooting. A lot of people got shot. And so it was really important that the holes in the clothes, the entrance holes and the exit holes, were correct sizes. And I really didn't know anything about what that looked like. But I knew a guy.
That was me.
And I called you at probably 10 o'clock at night, because we were filmed at night a lot. And I said, what does
a bullet hole look like?
Yeah, what is it? He said, well, what is he shooting, a 22, a 45? And I'm like, I don't know. So I go ask props, and I tell them, he goes, well, this is what the entry hole will look like, and this is what the exit hole will look like. So I found out that if I used a cigarette to burn the entry hole, that made about the right size, and it made a nice little black mark around the bullet hole. And then coming out, we had cigar holes. And cigar holes were perfect for an exit hole. So anyone who's in wardrobe who doesn't know this, here's your tip for today. And that was a really, Bob, you were my hero. Because nobody knew. Nobody knew.
Everybody knows that.
I know. Like they know what cosmoline is, right, Bob?
Yeah.
Okay, that's another story. Anyway, so what else? I have a funny story about Breaking Bad. I didn't work on a lot of Breaking Bad, but I was there some of the time. The one day I happened to be working on Breaking Bad was the day that Walter White threw the pizza on the roof. And it's props department to get the pizzas. And so they ordered 20 pizzas thinking this guy isn't going to be able to throw this pizza on the roof. And this to this day, the lady who lived there, people who lived there, they had to put fences around their house. I think they finally sold it because it was just, people just wouldn't stop. And people would throw pizzas on the roof also. And not everyone can do that. So anyway, Bryan Cranston gets the pizza in his hand, pictures up, rolling, does it in the first take, throws it right on the roof. That's it. We got it. Bryan says, well, I'm not going to do that again. Cut. And that was that. And so there were a lot of cold pizzas, but if you know movie crews, we've eaten cold pizza many times. So pizza for the crew. And I often think of that. Could I throw a pizza that well? Probably not.
Probably not.
So it takes special skills. So Bryan, love you for doing that. I don't know if he's listening. I doubt he listens, but who knows?
There was another Bryan Cranston story about his Emmy.
Oh yeah, when he got the first Emmy, he came to set that day, and I happened to be working that day. And I was a big sister. I had my little sister with me, and he comes to set, and he's got this navy blue, sort of sausage-looking gym bag. And he says to the crew, want to see the Emmy? And they're like, yeah. He takes it out of a gym bag. Nothing wrapped around it, nothing to protect it. but if you knew him, he's a down-to-earth guy. So he takes it out, and everybody was taking pictures with him with the Emmy, and it was great. And I said to him, did that go through? Where did you put it? Did you put it in your suitcase, or did you carry it on? He said, no, I carried it on, and I put it above, in the overhead luggage. And I said, so did they scan it? And he said, yeah. I said, they didn't take it out and look at it? It wasn't a red flag? No, just went right through security. So thank you, TSA. Anyway, yeah, he was a pretty down-to-earth guy.
And
anyway.
Your favorite actor that you worked with.
Yeah, I worked with.
And how you gave him his nickname.
Yes. So I worked on a show called Crash, the TV show. I was hired because Dennis Hopper was the lead, and they needed someone who had some chops and someone who wasn't going to be intimidated by him because he's an icon. And I live with an icon. So, what's another icon? And so I met him, and in fact, they used Bob's knife in Crash, and we have pictures that we post every now and then on social media with Bob and Dennis in his trailer holding the knife together. And Dennis was very impressed by Bob. Bob wouldn't say this, but he was really impressed. Mm-hmm. He said, you made this? The whole thing? And he did. Anyway, but when the first night that we were working, it was a night shot. And Dennis, I don't know, he came in probably about 5 o'clock. We had to wait till it got dark to shoot. But anyway, so there's radios in the movie business. In fact, if you're lucky, you can get one, which I had one. And so you hear what's going on, and people are looking for people, or, for 10 minutes, or the camera's ready, so everybody comes back to set, or it depends on whether it's a hard shot to set up or an easy shot. Anyway, this was a very difficult shot, and Russell Fine was our DP, and he had a beautiful, he had a crane with overhead lights that were in a square. It was a box, and there's probably a name for it. Sorry, guys, I don't remember. And it was over this limousine at night, and you could see the lights of Albuquerque, but they were supposed to be the lights of L.A., and it was a beautiful shot. But anyway, so the first thing I heard on the radio around 5 o'clock was, we've got Hopper's at the airport. Hopper is in the van, the Teamsters van. Hopper is 10 minutes away from set. Hopper's 5 minutes away from set. Hopper's at base camp. Hopper's in his trailer. And that meant I had to go meet him and whatever. And everyone was just, I don't know, Hopper. I was like, so, I don't know, not humane. Hopper. So at that point, I sort of envisioned this bunny hopping from all these different places. So I walked out the door of the wardrobe trailer, and I said, I'm going to meet the bunny. And we called him that for the rest of the show. And I asked him, so he's asked me actually, he said, I heard you have a nickname for me. And I thought, oh God, I'm going to get fired. I said, I do. I said, they call you Hopper and I call you the bunny. He said, well, no one's ever given me a nickname before in my whole life. He said, I love it. Don't change it. So anyway, so I'd go into, every time he came to base camp, I would always go into his trailer every day. I mean, we had quite a relationship, and not that kind of relationship, but a real friendship. And it was based in art, basically. We read the New York Times art section on Monday. I'd bring it, but I would, open the door to his trailer and say, how's the bunny today? And so those are some of my stories. And Dennis was, what can I say, the best person I ever worked with in the movies of all the actors. Sorry, guys. But he was, a real professional. Oh, I know. I've just thought of another funny story. So the girls in my crew, we always would take shots of whatever someone was wearing jeans. We would also take a shot of the pocket of the jeans for continuity. And so I wrapped Dennis's banger and brought his clothes back and was hanging him up. And this young girl, very young girl, who's now a costume designer in L.A., said to me, Susan, you didn't get a butt shot of Dennis's jeans. And usually we did it when the person was wearing them. But I thought, I'm not going to do a butt shot of the icon. I'm not. I said, I'll do it right now. I said, I'm not going to do it. You don't do a butt shot of an icon. I said, you just, you figure a way around it. So I did. And that was sort of a joke that season of, you don't do butt shots of icons. And I didn't. And he was. Is that a good enough answer, Bob?
That's pretty good. And you've got a whole bunch of stories. Probably don't have time for them now. But
what did he tell you he used to call me?
Dennis told me that he called you his next ex-wife.
His future ex-wife.
I think the future ex-wife. I think he had 5 ex. How many?
He had a lot of wives. I would joke with him, and he would laugh too. I said, "Have you ever heard of living together?"
And I told him, "No, there's no way in hell that you're going to get her."
Aw, that's so sweet. Yep. Well, he never. It was never that kind of relationship, because that would have ruined our relationship. We had really a relationship built on respect, and he's the one who actually convinced me to quit working in the movies, which is another story. How I got to you guys. So
no.
Anyway,
there was a picture you took. There was a shot you took that I'll never forget, and it was really, really very surrealistic.
Yes, it was out in the Hemes.
Out in the Hemes, it was kind of in a desert area. It was on a dirt trail. It wasn't a road. It was just kind of a dirt trail.
All red. The background's all red.
Red. All red rocks and everything. Mm-hmm. And there was they had put a big easy chair, soft easy chair.
Like a Barco lounger.
It was like a Barco lounger, yeah. And he was dressed in a bathrobe.
Ben Cinders was in a bathrobe, yes.
Holding an umbrella because of the bright sun. And the look on his face.
And wait, what did he have in his hand? His signature thing. He had a cigar.
He had the cigar. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just such a surrealistic picture to see this, as Susie would say, icon in the middle of this trail on a Barcolanger in middle of nowhere with an umbrella and a cigar.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great picture.
Yeah, that was a really funny thing. And Amy Stofsky, our designer of that show, thank you I said to her, do you have extras of those robes? I said, they're black and there's going to be nothing but red dust. His robe is going to, every time he gets in and out of something, he's going to have that robe. It's going to have red clay all over it. And it did. It kept me busy. That was my glamorous job, lint rolling and dust collecting and making sure they were still present.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that's a great shot. I should publish that shot again. I've always wanted to paint that. Anyway, so that's that. So we have more questions, Bob?
We do. Here's one. This is from Two Saws. Two Saws.
The image I get from that. Who is Two Saws and where
I
are
don't
you?
know. I wonder if he's got two hammers also. But he's got two saws. And the question is, will Bob retire?
Will he?
Probably not. The way my eyes are going, I may be forced to stop making knives, but I'm always going to be doing something. I'm going to be doing something in the shop. I can't live without the shop, without my tools. I guess maybe if my eyes get bad enough, I won't be able to do anything in detail. Maybe I'll just make big things.
Will you be like, Monet? His eyesight went later in life, and his paintings were like 12 feet long by 8 feet high.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'll just make, 6-foot knives or something
There we
like
go.
that. Yeah.
There we go. It could be a new thing.
Yeah, but I have no intention of retiring.
Okay. Yeah, I think all the people I know who have, especially retiring from something they loved, their lives became a little bit narrower. And I think you love
Yes.
what this brings to it.
Yeah.
And, and guys, what would I do with them all day? Oh, my God, he's got to stay out there. I can't imagine.
Yeah, get me out in the shop, just lock the door, keep me in there.
Yeah, and then, of course, the TV might be on all the time, which could drive me crazy. Okay.
We have a question from Baza DH. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Bazza, Baza DH.
Buzza DH.
Baza DH. It almost sounds Italian.
I know, Buzza DH.
Yeah. Does Suz still make pies? I never see pictures. Well,
I don't, guys.
she hasn't made a pie in a while because, I'm diabetic and I'm overweight. And she wants to keep me around as long as possible, even if she has to starve me.
Even if he calls me the food Gestapo.
The food Gestapo, yes. But I will say, Susie made the best peach pies and nectarine pies that the world has ever known. And in Albuquerque, I think it may have been the first time you made a peach pie. You made apple pies for me, I know that, because she knows I love apple pies. But she made a peach pie because we had a beautiful peach tree in the backyard, which ultimately died from the cold, I guess.
Yeah, it was planted not very smart next to the pool, and it was really for someone who was allergic to bees. The peaches were falling all the time, and we had tons of bees. Right, it was right next to the pool, which I thought, I guess they'd never seen how big a peach tree could get.
But they were great peaches. So Susie used to make peach pies for me, and one day, a friend of mine came over, a guy I had known for many years.
You might have heard of him,
David Crosby from Crosby, Stills and Nash. And they were having a concert in Albuquerque, and he wanted to come by and see the shop. He had seen my shop and spent some time with me in Santa Fe.
And he collected your knives.
He collected my knives.
And he was arrested many times, and you were always said, I hope they didn't take my knife, and they did many times.
Yeah, they did. He got him back. But Susie made a pie for him when he came over. This was in Albuquerque. And he said it was the best pie of any kind that he had ever had in his life. And that night we went to the concert. He got us backstage passes. We hung out with Stephen Stills and Graham Nash. And Susie had brought in little Tupperware things, Tupperware plastic things. She bought pieces of pie for all the rest of the band and
The crew.
some of the crew.
I did, and little things of milk to go with it because he loved milk.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had shopping bags full of individual with forks and napkins and all that.
Yeah.
And I remember him singing at our kitchen table. One of the cats walked by, and he just started when he was eating the pie. He had someone else with him. I can't remember who he had with him.
I can't remember either, to tell you the truth.
Anyway, he started
He
singing.
was a member of the cast.
The crew.
Yeah, but one of his roadies or something. I can't remember who it was.
Anyway, so he started singing, "Our house is a very, very fine house." And the cat walked by. He said, "With 2 cats in the kitchen," he sang. Anyway, that was a pretty memorable thing. And
so we are in peach and nectarine season now. I'm hoping that Susie will make another pie.
yes.
If she does, we will post a picture. Let me tell you about her pies. I'll tell you one thing about them. Usually when people make a pie, they do this, what do you call the kind of crust where you crenulate it around the side with your finger?
Well, I can do that.
Yeah.
A fluted crust.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But what you do, and which I really like a lot, is she makes this really big dough, fills the pie, and then she folds the dough over so it kind of overlaps in the middle of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks very French. I think you say that's a French way of making it.
Yes, it's a terrine. Mm-hmm.
And I really love it because I love the crust that she makes.
Well,
I'm getting hungry. Is it almost lunchtime?
Well, the crust that I make has 2 sticks of butter in it. So how bad can anything be with 2 sticks of butter? I mean, we could eat cat poop with 2 sticks of butter and it would taste good. So, and I don't put a lot of sugar in the pie because if it's a fruit pie, it has natural sugar in it.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Okay. So that's the pie story. And if she makes one for me soon, I will post it on Instagram.
Janet?
We have a Janet question here. Janet S. She says, tell the story of the Time Traveler's Wife, which is the title of a book. And Susie, take it away.
Many years ago, I taught in an art center in Illinois and worked with a woman who was writing, and she's a tremendous printmaker and much younger than I was. And I don't know. She paid very close attention to my life, which I didn't realize at the time. And we were going to Italy, actually, and I looked in the bookstore at the airport, and I saw this book, The Time Traveler's Wife. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was written by this woman. And I was like, oh man, cool. I'll read this on the way there. And as it would be, there was just all these similarities to my life. Like the house I lived in, where my studio was, my parents, nailed my parents. Really cool. I couldn't describe them that well. And I had a husband at the time, not this husband, who had a sleep disorder, which she knew about. And in the book, the husband time traveled. It was a little different. But the whole way to Italy, as I was reading this book, and it was my life, I said, oh my gosh, this person is capitalizing on my misery.
I like to sleep on the airplane. And she was by the window, and I'm on the aisle, dozing off and nodding, and every few minutes she'd pound my shoulder and said, this is me. This is my story. I said, what?
Anyway, so it was a pretty good story. I mean, I think she did a wonderful job of writing it. In the screenplay, they changed a few things. Like in the book, the husband would appear, he'd time travel in a field or somewhere, and he'd be naked with a 6-year-old girl. And, Hollywood said, I think we're gonna add something or take something away from that. We can't do that. But it was a very strong coincidence. I can't say for sure. She never responded to my emails. So I don't know if it is, but many people have said who knew me and knew that time of my life that there's a lot of strong coincidences. Anyway, so what can I say? It's a great book. And her other book she's written several books, are just phenomenal. She's a great writer. So hats off to her.
And I think my arm still has bruises on it.
Probably. So we have one more question.
This is from Paulie. Hi, Paulie.
Paulie Boz.
Paulie Boz.
Bose? Boz?
No, I'm not sure how he says it, but it is Paulie.
Mm-hmm.
One of our friends in New York, knife collector, and
Does he have your tattoo on his arm?
he does. He has
does. It's
my
your
dragon.
logo. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not the only one.
So Paulie asked me. He says, "Are you ever coming back to New York shows?" That's a hard question. But probably the way the shows are settled now, probably not, because we do the Friday Night Blade Affair here in California, and that's the end of October every year. And the New York Knife Show is usually right around Thanksgiving, in November, which is just, 2 weeks later. So it's really hard to, make knives for two shows like that. And November in New York or New Jersey, which is where the show is now, is not the best place there to be.
And the show used to also be in February, which was the last time we went. I think they moved it to Nashville. I think is it moving back maybe now to New Jersey now?
Don't know.
But the last time we were there, it was the spring show, spring in New York in February.
So a while back, we did go to New York. We did do several New York shows, and one of them we got snowed in. The place was I don't know. They closed down the airport, and it was really hard getting around. So we decided we'll just stay another day. But
we didn't have a choice.
We didn't. Yeah, in fact,
Our
we didn't
flights
have
were
a choice.
canceled. We were stayed there for 2 days.
That's right. Yes, the flights were canceled. Yes, I
Right.
do remember that.
Right. And so the good thing is we had boots. I don't know how we had boots to walk in the snow because
That wasn't bad.
yeah, I think I saw the weather forecast. But anyway, so we went for a walk.
We went for a walk, and we went to the next door to the Museum of Natural History in New York is the Hayden Planetarium.
Oh, I remember. I wanted to go there because they have a giant meteorite.
They have a meteorite the size of this room that we're sitting in now, almost the size of a school bus. And it's a big, giant meteorite. Well, look, a van, at least a van.
Short
van.
bus.
Short school bus. And it's been there for forever because I used to go see it when I was a kid. We used to go into the planetarium. And they refurbished the whole planetarium, and I was, very happy to be there. And
And it was
we
empty.
noticed that there was going to have the show. They have these great shows in a circular theater, and I guess it's like every hour or so.
I have to interject that at this time, everything was shutting down in the whole city. People couldn't get home. They were stuck in the city. You couldn't drive on the streets. There was a few cabs out that were brave, that were like SUV cabs, but it was shutting down. There was no one there. There was hardly anyone in the museum. And Bob said, well, let's go watch what do they call the IMAX movie or whatever they...
It's not IMAX, but they project on the ceiling of this round circular room, the stars and I don't remember what the exact show was about the sun, the way it moves or something like that. But anyway, the show was still going on when we went up towards the theater, and there was a waiting room outside. And so we just sat down and just sat there waiting for the ongoing show to finish. And who should come walking out but who was a director of the Hayden Planetarium at the time.
And,
was that Susan?
Oh, my God. So I have a crush on him. I've had a crush on this guy if you're listening, I love you. Call me up. It was Neil deGrasse Tyson. And, he has a beautiful voice. I've watched everything. I listened to his podcast. I'm a big, big fan. So he walks out. And it was like this moment. I'm like, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oh, my gosh.
And he came over to us, and we started chatting.
He did, but first he asked if anyone knew how to run the projector because the projectionist couldn't get there. And so I said, I don't know how, but I'll take a look at it. If I get to go in the room with Neil deGrasse Tyson, yes. So anyway, but he did come out and he started talking to us. For a long time, we talked to him.
Yeah, it was like 10 or 15 minutes. He had nothing better to do. Nobody was going anywhere.
Right, and nobody could run the projector, so we didn't see the show. So we just talked to him. And I can't tell you, I don't even remember what we talked about. Do you?
No. Well, it wasn't astrophysics.
Well,
it may
yeah.
have been the weather, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, I don't know if I would have heard anything anyway. I was so gobsmacked. Of all the actors and famous people I've met, I was really starstruck. So
So to answer your question, Paulie, probably not in the near future as far as I can see. Now, if they want to move the show to the springtime, that's a possibility. But as of now, we have no plans for going back to the New
real
York show.
springtime, like May.
Real springtime, yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's about it. Those are all our questions that we have today. We'll ask some more on other episodes. So if you want to send us questions, go to the Knife Wife podcast on Instagram or our fan page on Facebook. Or pretty soon we have a YouTube channel, and so we'll be posting some audio and some pictures, some outtakes and whatever from the pod. And you can on YouTube you can ask questions as well in the comments section. So anyway, Bob, well, thanks for the travels. Thanks for the fun.
Yep. Thanks for being here, everybody. We appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Thanks for listening. If you like what you're hearing, please share this with a friend and subscribe where you listen to podcasts. Please support our efforts through Patreon at TheKnifeWife, and for all Terzuola goodness, go to Terzuola.net. And remember, if you're not laughing, you're not living. Comments and questions can be made on Instagram at The KnifeWife Podcast or our Facebook group, The KnifeWife Podcast. And if you're a couple who work together and would like to be on our podcast, tell us about yourself with an email at eccentricsuz.com or terzuola.net.